All right, all right, all right. Hey, 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 everybody. It is I, Hope Giselle. And there is a lot to cover and not a lot of time to do it. So I am getting ready with you all today, this morning for the folks on the West Coast, this afternoon for the folks on the other side. Wherever you are coming from, I am happy to have you. Now, I want y'all to know and understand that y'all are going to see two different versions of this whole conversation about Boosie as it pertains to me, at least. And the only reason that I'm going to do it that way, y'all, is because for those of you all who are going to be able to watch this and who are going to see this version in real time, God bless you, because y'all are going to get the real unadulterated version of my thoughts. And then everybody else is going to get, the curated version of my thoughts. And there's a reason for that. What I love about this whole entire situation about Boosie is that I feel like it is actively, right, showcasing how obsessed he is with the LGBT community, specifically when it comes to, the dolls and the trans girls. And while I am going to gather him, here's one of the things that I want to say to all of y'all people out there who support trans people, want to support trans people, want to be in support and in community with trans people. And to a lot of us trans folks out there, because it's not just about, the other people, this is about us as well. What I don't like is that there are trans people that are doing work like myself. I have posted and been talking to members of Congress all weekend. Okay. I've been talking to members of Congress all weekend. I have spoken to Representative Summer Lee. I've spoken to Dahlia. I've spoken to I've even spoken to Mayor Westmore. I've spoken to so many different people and posted about those things. And people are paying it dust. They're not paying it any attention, or like they're kind of like moving real slow around their support of those things. And I recognize that some of it is the algorithm. But what y'all are not going to do is convince me that all of it is the algorithm. Because what I do understand and what I do know is that y'all live for mess. Y'all live for mess. Y'all live for drama. Y'all live for anything that paints trans people out as these continued, always antagonistic people. And as a person who gets folks together on the internet regularly, I'm not saying that we cannot be those people, but I am saying that those things happen within good reason and for good reason most of the time. And what I don't like is that when trans people are out here minding our business, living our lives, and doing things that have nothing to do with these people, we're not bothering anybody. Y'all are so bothered that y'all find a way to try to piss people off. And then you completely overshadow the work that we're doing in other sectors. And I also want to make this very clear to the people that claim that y'all support trans people. If you only support trans people when there's BS going on and you want to see us crash out and you want to see us get upset about something, you don't support trans people. If the only time that you pay attention to trans people is because you know that you're going to get a good read, or because you know that the people are going to go off the deep end, you don't support trans people. If the only time that you truly want to listen to a trans person is when you know that there's going to be some sort of turmoil in their voice, some sort of trauma that they have to navigate, some sort of something that they would not normally involve themselves in, then you do not support trans people. A lot of y'all are asking me about my thoughts on Boosie. My good sister niece, Doll of the Day, posted her video about this yesterday. And I said, well, you know what? I think I could leave it alone, because to me, it seems like you've gotten it together, right, Day? And Day was like, no, we need to hear everybody's voices. But I also understood that there were some people who were saying no, not because they cared about my opinion, but because they genuinely love the entertainment that they get from the dolls when we're upset. But no, none of those people care about my opinion about what's happening with healthcare. None of those people seem to care about my opinion opinion about what's happening with the AIDS crisis. None of those people seem to care about my opinion about what's going on as it pertains to what's happening at Delaney Hall or what's happening with Black women and HIV. Nobody cares about my opinion around things that actually matter, but everybody wants to know what Hope got to say about Boosie, right? Everybody wants to know about what Hope got to say about some imbecile who's already shown us that he does not have a relationship between two vowels, consonants, or any other parts of a sentence that make it whole. But y'all can't wait for y'all can't wait for me to, do all the things and read this man into oblivion. And that's a part of the reason why the very trans women that y'all claim that y'all care about don't have the things that we deserve. Right? It's not just the system at play. It's the fact of the matter that the system sees what y'all support. The system sees what y'all want. The system sees what y'all out here saying is important to y'all as it pertains to trans voices. I was upset because I had not been getting invited to conferences and all of these other things as a creator who talks about this stuff. And what I had to realize was that it wasn't that I wasn't getting invited because my content wasn't good, or because I wasn't paying attention to what was happening in the political scope, or because I wasn't as good at reporting it as some of my cisgender counterparts. It's because when they look at the people who are being shared and reposted for information, it's not the dolls. Y'all are not posting or reposting the dolls when we're out here talking about the way that our lives can be affected. But y'all are reposting the dolls every single time something happens and somebody gives the good read. What I love is that in real time, I'm able to watch y'all share my Cheyenne Bryant read, and I love how y'all were able to platform that particular message that I had for Cheyenne Bryant. But what I can't stand is that when I'm on here advocating for HIV justice, which a lot of people in community have close proximity to, y'all be out here like crickets. Those things are not interesting. But y'all will turn around and y'all will get on my brother Conscious Lee's page and share those videos out for years. Y'all will turn around and y'all will get on my sister Lene's page and y'all will share those videos out for years. And then y'all wonder why cisgender people are out here taking over space and taking up space in rooms and in conversations where most of them don't have the wherewithal to actually stand, because that's not their lived experience. But then I'm looking and I'm seeing all of these trans creators or all of these trans people and all of these gay men and all of these lesbian women sharing the thoughts that we have given these people over and over and over and over and over again. It's us. We're the problem. It's us. We are the problem. Boosie ain't the problem. Boosie is not the problem. The cishet people ain't the problem. It's us. We don't support one another. Y'all claim that y'all want to see us in other spaces. Y'all claim that we deserve to be in other spaces. But when it's time to support your brothers, your sisters, and your siblings, you only want to support it when it's some bullshit. So how do y'all expect to see us on CNN or MSNBC talking about the things if y'all don't support it? But y'all will go and y'all will support a cisgender heterosexual creator who does not live this life. Y'all will support them talking about the same exact things that we're talking about. Me and Day will get on here and talk about everything from politics to healthcare, and maybe every now and then we'll throw a little read in there, and that's cute or whatever the case may be. But y'all are not sharing that the way that y'all are turning around and sharing when Consciously gives y'all that information. And I'm going to stop blaming my brother for that, because it's not his fault that he's putting out the information. It's y'all's fault. It is y'all's fault because y'all don't share the information. And so guess what? At the very least, it has to get out there some way. But why should those people who are getting this information about queer bodies not be getting it from people who are living and existing in a queer body? And that is not on the fault of heterosexual cisgender people. We have buying power in the LGBT community. We have all type of power in the LGBT community. And instead of us using that to uplift each other, we get upset and we get jealous. And so we would rather share a cisgender person's opinion about our lives, the lives that we actually live, than to share the opinions of people who we actually get a chance to touch and be around and see. And that's just crazy. And then when we sit back and we ask, oh, well, why isn't Hope at the NAACP? You know why? Because the NAACP thinks all that Hope does is read. Because when Hope is talking about other things, the NAACP doesn't see that. And I want y'all to understand and recognize that if y'all want to see us in these spaces, it is up to y'all to help us push these videos and to push all of our narrative ideas out there. If every single time somebody who works for the NAACP sees Hope going viral, it's because Hope is cussing somebody out, then of course they're not going to invite Hope to the NAACP. But y'all are not sharing the other videos. So of course Hope only looks like that's all she does. If the only videos that y'all share of Day are the videos where Day is making people feel away, of course they're going to think that that's all Day does on a daily basis. If we want our community to be seen as something other than, these sycophantic queer people who don't talk about anything other than being queer, then I think it's time for us to really, really reconcile with the fact that a lot of us have to do our part. And that means coming to the table when our trans and our queer and our LGBT family is talking about other things and not just Boosie. Okay. So that's just my 2 cents. I wanted to give y'all that first before I jumped into the rest of this, because I just feel like, I don't know, like a lot of y'all be around here asking like why people don't be in spaces, but y'all are not actively doing your part to put people in those spaces. And so that's my 2 cents about that. Now, what y'all really came for, which is the conversation around Boosie. And so here's my thing. I'm definitely going to do a more curated video to get out all of my thoughts and all of those things. I'm just here to get ready with me for real at this point. But Boosie has an addiction to trans people. And whether that addiction also includes a sexual proclivity, I don't know. I'm not going to sit up here and just say that the man is into trans people or into trans women. I'm not going to entertain that juvenile thought that the man is gay or whatever the case may be, just because we don't know. That man might really just have a mental illness and really just believe that trans people are the ops. And it ain't nothing that none of us can tell him about how we not the ops, because he's decided in his mind that we are the ops, and that's okay, right? But what I do not like and what I don't understand and how I don't get how this, how a lot of these cisgender people don't get it, is that the only time that y'all give a fuck for real about anything that Boosie has to say is if he's talking about the LGBT community. And y'all haven't picked up on it yet, that somebody who is only popular when they're talking about a specific topic that they claim that they don't like can't be somebody who has any validity to be able to push anything else forward, because the only time that he can make y'all pay real attention to him is if he's talking about us. And that should say something to y'all. The Boosie and the DL Whisperer have a very similar cadence about them, right? They are people who want to be relevant. They are people who really desire to have an audience. And what happens is they've done 1 or 2 things that the audience knows them for. But now what they have to do is retain that audience. There has to be a conversion rate. And what I think is that a lot of y'all don't understand or realize that Boosie and the DL Whisperer don't have a good conversion rate if it does not include talking about trans people. And they realized that a long time ago. Y'all ass is just a little slow. So let me break this down for y'all, for the people who don't understand. For a lot of y'all love to say that y'all support these people, and y'all love to say that y'all are 10 toes down and this is your boy and all of these things. But I only really see these comments go up like this when Boosie is actively attacking trans people. And if I can see that, and if I can notice that, then guess who else notices that? Boosie's team. Now, I don't think that his team is the best and the brightest by any means, but I do know that if they are worth their salt in any way, those people have recognized that his numbers trend, and whatever he is trying to push does better when he talks about trans people. I am willing to bet that this party had probably been out and that he had already been promoting it and he had been doing his thing, and those tickets were not moving. I am willing to bet that those tickets were not moving. I'm almost positive that if we look at how those tickets were doing before he made that whole claim about the trans girl and after he made that claim about the trans girl, I am almost willing to bet that those sales went up exponentially after they thought that they could support something that was anti-trans. And here's the problem with that. If your audience only supports you when they feel like they are not supporting somebody else, that is not your audience. Those are not your fans. Those people will turn on you in 2.5 seconds for a pork chop sandwich and a Capri Sun if they got the opportunity, because they're not truly in support of you. They just don't like us, right? They just don't like us. Megan has a song, and I can't remember the song, but somebody let me know if there are some real hot girls and hot boys and hot people out there in the audience. But Megan has a song where she literally names this, and she's just like, like, is she really supporting you, or does she just hate me? And a lot of these people are not supporting Boosie or his music. They just don't like trans people. And Boosie has a larger platform to do that than they do. And so therefore they're running with this as their narrative, because they have a celebrity who is going to be able to back them when they could not get these themes and these things off on their own. And so therefore they're using Boosie as the pawn to be able to do all of this stuff. And a lot of y'all don't even realize that you are being used. A lot of y'all don't even realize or understand how silly you look up there supporting somebody. A lot of y'all don't realize how silly you look thinking that you have support from an audience of people who genuinely don't fuck with you and wouldn't fuck with you if you were not talking about this particular topic. Now, to be very clear, one of the things that I think is really interesting is how much hate and vitriol Boosie has for the LGBT community, considering his proximity in so many different ways. It's very clear that Boosie likes lesbians, and we know that these things are not synonymous with one another. But I want to make a point, so y'all follow me, but don't follow me, but follow me. It's very clear that Boosie likes lesbians, except the one that's in his house, aka his daughter. One of his most popular songs is Two Red Bones Kissing in the Backseat. I like girls that like girls that relax me. Sir, that's literally something that you put into your household from the very beginning. You know how much money you made off of that song? That particular song right there probably made you millions of dollars. And the idea that you out here disowning your daughter for doing the thing that you said you like. You have for to say that you like the two girls kissing in the back seat. So when your daughter pops out to kiss a girl in the back seat, now she got to get the fuck out your house? That doesn't make sense to me. Sounds very hypocritical if you ask me. But all of y'all are going to sit around and talk about how he's such a great father and how he's standing on business. But y'all be the main ones out here singing that song to the top of your lungs. So make it make sense. Because if I don't like something, not only am I not going to glorify it, but I'm damn sure not going to make a song and make millions of dollars with people screaming these things at my shows while I'm actively going against this community. That just doesn't make sense. That's like me saying that I don't like Boosie, but the song that pops the most and makes me the most money is a song where all I'm talking about is him. Why would I want to sing that song for the rest of my life if I have a disdain for the topic and the subject matter of the song? If the whole song is about how you like these girls that are dyking, then how do you hate gay people so much? Because we're not even getting to the trans part. We're not going to even get to the trans part just yet. Let's talk about your overall disdain for the LGBT community as a whole. Because a lot of y'all in the comments, a lot of you LGBT folks and a lot of you folks who are not trans are in the comments thinking that you're going to get chose because you're not trans. And I want y'all to understand, and I want y'all to recognize and realize that this is not just a man who does not care for trans people. This is the same man who does not care for the LGBT community so much so that he's beefing with his own daughter online because she's a lesbian after making one of his most popular songs first line, I like girls that like girls. Hello? Can somebody explain it to me? If you like girls that like girls, why your daughter can't like girls? But that's because a lot of this is just virtue signaling. Right. A lot of this is virtue signaling. A lot of this is, Boosie and people like him wanting to be able to dictate who gets to have freedom in society, who gets to feel comfortable in their skin, who gets to walk around and be excited to seize the day and enjoy life. It's about y'all wanting to police Black men, specifically Black men and not any other Black men, because this particular topic for this particular reason is about a very particular culture. I'm not out here saying that the rest of y'all people of color are not oppressed, but for the sake of this video, I am talking about Black men, okay? I am talking about the Black community, okay? And so if you are not a part of the Black community in any way and you don't understand this, then this message is not for you, boo-boo. I'm not being exclusionary. It's just that you cannot compare where you cannot relate, and you cannot relate. So don't get your ass in these comments in your feelings. Just listen to the video or keep it moving if you want something that feels more tailored to you, okay? Now, beyond that, what I want to say about this Boosie situation is when we have conversations with Boosie around the LGBT community, I want y'all to recognize that this man is a lot more curious than y'all give him credit for. When we listened to this man a couple of years ago, detail, and when I say detail, I do mean detail, the way that he watched two men have sex in prison is crazy, because it wasn't like he just said, oh, they was over there doing their ones and twos. This man broke down the story for us in large detail about he got an opportunity to watch two grown-ass men loving on each other, and he talked about the soap and everything else and all of the things that they were doing. It just felt like Latrell from Friday talking about Tupac. It was just too much. And if y'all don't remember that scene from Friday, go back and watch the scene with Latrell, not Latrell, oh, I think that was his name, on the Friday movie. I think it was Friday After Next, where they had the whole Christmas thing and Cat Williams was in there. If you look at the character that is played by that one goofy ass dude that we don't really fuck with no more, he was on the couch talking about how Tupac was so fine. And those are the same vibes that I got from Boosie when he was talking about that whole like shower thing, or that that entire little moment that they were having in the thing. Damon, thank you. And it was Terry Crews. So yeah, Damon was on the couch fantasizing about Tupac, and no tea, no shade. That was the energy that Boosie gave me the entire time that he was trying to explain that whole thing that he walked in on. You know what I'm saying? It was just really really interesting to see the repressed homosexuality pop out on film for all of us to take note of. And I want y'all to understand and realize that Boosie has done so much questionable stuff in the LGBT, as far as the LGBT community is concerned, but none of his actual homeboys or any of these people that claim to be so down for Boosie are ever going to call it out, because they are so afraid and they are such sycophants that they refuse to make this man, or they refuse to really ask the real questions to this man about where all of this disdain and vitriol for a community comes from. Because all of this had to come from somewhere. It's either envy, right? It's either envy, it's an unfounded disdain or hatred for, which doesn't make sense, or it's because you are indeed in the closet. And notice that I said that one last, because I know that as queer people and as folks on the outside, or folks who are, you know, seeking to hurt a man, the first thing that we love to do is make that man, or make the public question that man's sexuality, or we make the public or people question that man's manhood. And so we love to run to that first because it's an easy win, right? Once you get people to start questioning whether or not somebody is heterosexual, you kind of sort of got them for life. Because once the question is posed, and it's posed publicly enough, everybody starts to side-eye this person no matter what the circumstances are. And we all know this to be true. People are going to side-eye that person for the rest of their life. And I believe that when it comes to Boosie, nobody really wants to put down, you know, a real statement, because once people start really investigating, it's not going to be hard to find the evidence that this man has an issue, right? Like, this man has a full issue. And it's not just because he doesn't like queer people. It's not just because trans people are so disgusting to him. If trans people and queer people have never done anything to you, if you have no recollection of any of these things happening to you personally, then why does this feel like such a personal vendetta? If you ask me, I personally feel like this man that had a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they hurt his little feelings, or he almost got exposed at some point, and now he's like, fuck every single person that reminds him of that. Because the idea that you would go out of your way to post this private message on your story and then have all of these rebuttals and talkbacks and conversations about it is ridiculous. I don't necessarily even believe that there was an actual trans person that asked to come to this party, just because I don't believe, or at least I don't want to believe, because I do know that some of my girls are Banji and y'all love the idea of being able to sit up around this man, regardless of what to tell this man, that you not like the rest of us trainees. But I just want to let y'all know, I hope y'all see that he's never going to really be in a space where he's going to support you the way that you support him, regardless of what kind of trans person you are. And so it would behoove you not to throw away your community for the sake of trying to get 15 minutes of fame with somebody who has made you a pariah in the world that you're trying to be accepted in. There's no amount of money that you're going to get me to go and beg Boosie to come to a Dollar General pool party full of has-been ass 90s rappers who still think that they're the shit because people know their songs and their lyrics from years ago. At this point, when we talking about hits and oldies, Boosie would be a part of the oldies lineup on the hits and oldies radio station. And he needs to be glad, and he needs to be happy, and he needs to be lucky that he's been able to benefit and capitalize off of the couple of moments of transphobia and transmisia that he's had over the years, because most people would not know who he was if it were not for that. There are so many rappers who have disappeared into obscurity because they can't keep themselves relevant, and they don't want to resort to cheap tricks to do that. I think that when we look at this situation, we have to also be mindful of exactly what's happening, because Boosie ain't the only one. Let me take y'all back to an earlier example, i.e. Mr. Chingy. Okay. Now, Chingy still pops up every 3 to 6 business months, blaming, Sydney Star for his career falling off and making people perpetually hate this girl. Now, I don't care for Sydney Star, but it ain't because of Chingy, right? And I think that there is something to be said about all of these rappers who build careers that are specifically off of trying to let people know what they don't stand for as it pertains to the LGBT community, and what they're not going to go for as it pertains to trans women. A lot of y'all are out here faking the funk, right? And trying to use these as excuses for why your career didn't pop. Chingy, your career didn't pop because you were a 2-hit wonder at best, my love. Nobody was paying attention to any of the things that you were putting out beyond Right There and Holiday Inn, and like that first album had a couple of bops on it, but since then, where's the music? Since then, where's your pen? Since then, where's your shows? What are you doing that's making your legacy move beyond that one moment in history almost 20 something odd years ago? When I found out about you and Sydney Star, I want to say, if I'm pushing it, I was coming out of elementary school. If I'm trying to give you a little grace, I was going into middle school. I'm a 32-year-old woman. I'm a 32-year-old woman. You've got to stop blaming Sydney Star for your career failures when you are the reason that your career failed and flopped, my love. At the end of the day, I may not care for her antics, but Sydney Star has had a more lucrative career than you, and it's because she did not let all of the rumors and people backbiting her and beating her down make her feel like she could not become the Sydney Star that she wanted to be out here in this life. And I think that the idea that you, Chingy, who had a mega million machine behind you pushing you at one point, can't seem to get back on your feet because of transphobia in a day and age where we have Lil Nas X, who is being who is being like championed at one point in his career. You're like, I just think that to me just does not make sense. It's crazy that in 2026 you're still trying to convince us that the reason why you're not popular is because people think that you might have fucked Sydney Star 20 years ago. It's because the music ain't good, baby. It's because the music ain't good, baby. It's because your music hit for that time, and it hit. You had your moment. You can still go on tours, and we still gonna do the Right There. We still gonna do it with you, but you have to realize and understand that your 15 minutes ended. Your 15 minutes ended, and it would have ended even without Sydney. Because that time period had a very specific genre of music that we all loved for that time period. And now it's up. And now it's over. And now it's done. Just like them franchise boys and everybody else from that time period that kind of sort of found a new lane and moved on with their life and had kids. Chingy, I need you to do that. I need you to do that. And I need you to stop making every interview when somebody pulls your ass out of oblivion about Sydney. Because all you do is make people go and Google her. And then you have the nerve to get upset and be out here like misgendering the girl and talking shit. Because personally, I still don't believe that it didn't happen. I still don't believe that Sydney lied. I believe that y'all paid her to say that she lying. And mind you, that's just my opinion. And none of us will ever really know what really happened but you and her. But what I believe is that your team and your camp paid that girl to say that because y'all thought that it was going to save your little lame ass, whack ass career. And then when it didn't, you got even more upset because you had already paid her and there was nothing else that she could do. She told the truth. And they still say that you were gay. And you know why, Chingy? Do you know why people believe so heavily, even to this day, that rumor? It's because you're not as masculine as you think you are, babe. You're not as masculine as you think you are, babe, and that's okay. Because quite frankly, if you ask me, Boosie is not masculine, but he exudes a masculinity that gets him through in a way that you just don't. You might be a handsome man at your age, but at this point, you're either going to put in the work or you're going to get off the pot. You're either going to put in the work or you're going to go away. You're either going to put in the work or you're going to go get a 9-to-5. But trying to ride off of this is wild. And I think that that's the parallel between him and Boosie, right? Boosie has definitely done his due diligence at trying to figure out the best way to capitalize off of these moments in a way that I just don't think that Chingy has. But I just feel like when it comes down to people talking about the representation, I personally don't understand how groups of men in America can be out here touting that Boosie Badass is a role model for them and that he is King Ding-a-ling alpha man when he sounds like a punk from 79 in Miami in the early 2000s. Ain't no nigga sounding like this gonna tell me what I can do, bruh. Like I just don't Boosie sound like a punk to me, especially when he rap. Like Boosie sounds like a punk to me. I just there's nothing about that voice that gives alpha man I want to follow in his footsteps. There's nothing about, especially his rapping voice. Two red bone kissing in him. It's not just country. He sounds like a country fake. He sounds like a country punk. Okay. And I just can't. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just can't with the country punk voice. And I don't understand how all of you big, I pull around bales of hay, I bench press 460 pounds a day ass men be out here letting Boosie lead y'all. Like, I don't get it. Nothing about it makes sense to me. I don't think it ever will. Like, I really don't understand it. But you know, that's you all's prerogative. When it comes down to his pool party, let's get into the things, right? When it comes down to Boosie's pool party, here's what I want to say first and foremost. That man can tell whoever he wants at his party or does not want at his party. He can express that however he feels. He can talk about it. He can kick people out. He can do whatever he want to do because this is his party. He can cry if he wants to, if he wants to. Like, that's Boosie's party. Boosie can invite or disinvite whoever he wants to invite or disinvite. My issue isn't the fact that Boosie doesn't want trans women at the party. I don't think that any trans women care that Boosie doesn't want trans men at the party. I think that people are upset because Boosie is using this moment to yet again, during Pride Month, make trans people a negative topic of discussion when you could have just been quiet about the entire thing. I feel like there was no reason for you to make a full announcement about that because what I feel, it's like if it was only one trans girl who hit you up, and this is still allegedly, because again, I don't believe that any trans girl hit Boosie up looking for an invitation to this party. And if they did, it was likely a joke just to see if they were going to get a rise out of you, and you took the bait. But I digress. I personally just believe that when we are having discussions about this, it's less about the fact that Boosie didn't want trans people in the space and more about the fact that I really just believe that Boosie went out of his way to make this a thing because he wasn't selling tickets, very likely. And I don't know. You're just not going to convince me of anything else. Like, I personally just believe that man, I don't know. Like, I just personally believe that man needed to sell tickets and move tickets. I forgot my little setting spray. So I'm going to be right back. Bum, bum, bum. Okay. Um, so I personally just don't believe I personally just don't believe that anybody actually asked this man to, like, I don't know, like, I just don't believe that anybody actually asked this man if it were okay for them to come to this party. I genuinely believe that Boosie wanted to build up sales. I genuinely believe that he wanted people to believe that this was something that was happening. And then when he started to get that traction, he ultimately started to push this party even more. He started to make sure that more people knew about what was going on with the party, because I'm not sure that anybody outside of his audience who naturally follow him knew anything about it. Now you have people from all over saying that they're going to go to this party just to spite. And I also believe that what he doesn't understand is that the entire motive and the entire point behind his party has now changed. Boosie, now people are not going to be coming to your party to enjoy themselves and be topless and all of that stuff. Now what you've done is you've created an environment where every single woman that is there, no matter how beautiful, no matter how gorgeous, no matter how cisgender they are, is going to be on eggshells, because every single man at the party is also going to be wondering if a transgender woman somehow managed to sneak in. So the entire purpose of your party was to give and be in a liberated space where everybody was free to feel safe and walk around topless and all of those things, and whatever little ghetto way that y'all were going to come up with all the devil eggs and the potato salad on the side that y'all could eat. But the problem is that now folks are not going with the intention to enjoy the party and the festivities. Folks are going looking to see if they can spot the trans girl that was able to make it past the initial throat check that you're trying to do. And this is not going to be the flex that you think it is. At some point, y'all are going to be doing these checks, and you're going to have a woman who is a biological woman who just gave birth 3 months ago and is going to be walking through, and somebody's going to stop her to do a genitalia check, because y'all are not going to believe that she fits the mold of feminine enough to pass. And what a lot of y'all are saying about passing, and what a lot of y'all are saying about these features checks, isn't that you are checking to see if these people are actually women or female. Y'all are checking to see if these women adhere to the Eurocentric beauty standards of what it means to be a woman. And those are things that most Black women are never going to be able to attain, because femininity and beauty standards were not built with Black women in mind. They were built with white women in mind to make white women feel superior to Black women. And a lot of y'all don't understand it when y'all are out here saying things like, oh, we're checking hands and Adam's apples, and we're looking at features, and if you got a strong face and all of this stuff. A lot of Black women had strong faces. A lot of Black women in history had strong faces. A lot of some of our favorite people, Nina Simone and Grace Jones, and all of those women would not have been able to make it into those parties, but those are women. And so when we look at these things and when we're having these conversations, especially as Black people, we have to be mindful of where we're getting a lot of our qualifications for femininity and womanhood from. Because a lot of y'all are getting these qualifications for femininity and womanhood from white supremacy, and you're subjecting Black women to the standards of white men, when you are a Black man who should be understanding, accepting, and loving on the differences and the features of Black women. But again, Boosie, you don't get that, because this isn't really about that for you. This is about being able to maintain and make whatever little bit of coin you can maintain and make from this movie. From this party. And considering that now you've gotten this huge buzz about this party, that's all you really care about. All you care about is the fact that you're now able to move things and shake things in a way that you weren't able to move things and shake things with these tickets before. And that's disgusting that you continue to use the trans community as a means to do that. I think that trans people are not just upset about the fact that Boosie is out here, telling people who can and can't come to his party, because nobody cares who can and can't come to his party if nobody was ever going. And I would personally like to believe that the bitches I hang out with don't go places where we're not wanted, loved, accepted, and anything beyond tolerated. Nobody would want to go and sit up in a party where we were uncomfortable the entire time and we became the sideshow Bob of the entire event. No trans girl that I know would want to go and sit up in that party and have you and all your cronies staring at them the entire time, pretending to not be interested, and whole time we getting airdrops and all type of weird shit from y'all across the room, because that's how y'all niggas move. We don't have the time or the energy or the wherewithal to put ourselves through all of the turmoil that we're gonna have to go through from the time that we walk in, from all the cisgender girls that may or may not clock and be jealous because now y'all are paying us all of this attention. And we saw this happen on, I forgot, whatever now that TV show that was popping off, where the girl went on to the show. She was cute, she was doing her thing, and because this one guy was supposed to be talking to this other cisgender woman before she got there, and then he switched his sites once she got there, then the cis girl turns around and is like, oh, that's a man, right? Like, that's because that's what happens in those spaces. Why would trans women volunteer and set themselves up to be in a space where that's ultimately going to happen? That's exactly what's going to happen at the Boosie pool party if trans women were up in there. If it would only take one cis girl to feel some type of way about the treatment or about the amount of attention that a trans girl is getting before the entire party ends up getting and going out of hand. I don't think that there's any sane trans woman who is not just looking for clout or looking for something to do that will want to go and voluntarily involve herself in a Boosie pool party. That just does not make sense to me, which is another reason why I think I am upset, because I just don't believe that it happened at all. It would be one thing if the trans girl who sent the message, came forth and was just like, oh my God, y'all, like, that was me, and Boosie is okay. Like, y'all gotta stop, because that's what the girls do sometimes. But that's not what's happening. I'm not seeing any girl pop out of the woodwork and say that it was her. I'm not seeing any girl, come out and claim this message. And so that makes me wonder, because in a world where everybody is looking for their moment, I just feel like a girl who would be stupid enough to send Boosie a message asking to go to the party, once this went viral, if she was that thirsty, she would be hella thirsty trying to let us know that she was the person that all of this is about. And that makes me even more suspicious about the entire thing, because I just feel like, again, in a world where everybody's a clout chaser, in a world where everybody's trying to get their shit off, and in a world where everybody is going above and beyond to be seen, it's mighty strange that this bold trans woman that sent Boosie a DM or a text message asking to come to this party didn't follow up and say, well, damn, I didn't think that it was that serious. I was trying to be respectful. I was doing X, Y, and Z, all of these different things. Who sent that message, Boosie? I feel like that's what I want. Now I want to go into Inspector Gadget vibes and be like, where did the message come from? Because the screenshot was inconspicuous, at least the one that I saw. I didn't see a blocking out of any names. I didn't see a blocking out of the Instagram page. All I saw was this ambiguous conversation around whether or not trans people could come to this party. But I never really actually saw the fact that there was somebody on the other end of that conversation that we could trust actually came from an account, and not just you and your friends stirring up some bullshit for the sake of you trying to sell tickets to this party. Because y'all are weird. Like, I don't know. Like, for me, I just feel like a lot of these people are so weird and they have nothing else better to do. And so I would not put it past Boosie for none of this to actually be real, and for him to just be wanting to spark discourse again, because that's the only time that people pay him attention. It's really interesting how a lot of y'all will turn around and sit back and say things like, oh, Boosie a real one, I support him, I do this and I do that. But I don't see Boosie trending without there being some trans people or some trans stuff behind it. I don't see Boosie's music trending unless it's an old track. I don't see or hear anything about Boosie making any new music for real, for real. I haven't heard anything about a Boosie concert that y'all are excited to go to. I haven't heard anything about y'all talking about how this man does work for the community. I haven't heard y'all talking about anything that this man does for young men that is helping them to not be trans and to not be like the things that y'all say that y'all hate so much. I haven't heard anything about the positive work that this man has done for young Black boys outside of, say, don't be out here getting tricked by trans people. And yet y'all somehow want me to believe that y'all care so much about Boosie and that y'all think that he's such a beautiful addition and acclamation to the Black community. Y'all are full of shit. And I really wish that y'all would stand in the hatred for trans people. What I don't like is how y'all will sit back and y'all will say, oh, I don't have no problem with trans people, and then list 45,000 reasons why y'all have an issue with trans people. Oh, I don't have an issue with trans people, but I just feel like, and then continues and proceeds to list off a myriad of things that you have an issue with that specifically include trans people. But the other thing that bothers me is that a large part of what y'all have an issue with are always some sort of aesthetic thing. And that's for both men and women. And so my question is, do you really not like trans people, or do you not like beautiful trans people? Because it feels like there's a difference. What I notice is that when y'all have issues with trans people, or when y'all are having all of these thought-provoking discussions and conversations about trans people, y'all are never having these thought-provoking and long drawn-out conversations about somebody who's just butt ugly. And that's no tea, no shade to any of my girls who have ever been in a scandal, and you wondering why your scandal didn't last that long. But I'm just here to let y'all know that I've never seen y'all have discussions or be upset or be triggered or bothered by a trans girl who looked like Ving Rhames in a wig. But every single time a trans girl happens to be halfway decent looking, every single time a trans girl happens to be able to walk around and be cis assumed, every single time a trans girl can have the possibility of being liked or being desired by the same types of men that you like and are desired by, whatever the case may be, then it's a problem. But when a girl is 2 days on hormones and just popped out as trans yesterday, y'all be living. Y'all love it. Oh, those girls are so sickening. And oh my God, sister, I support you so bad. But let a bitch come by that you couldn't clock immediately. And mind you, you might have clocked her later, but if you didn't clock her immediately, all of a sudden she's public enemy number one. And that's what all of this is about. For the men, it's about you all not wanting to acknowledge or admit that trans women are women. We're just a different type of woman. I just don't understand why y'all find it so hard to just say that. And then for the cisgender women who are upset sometimes, I just believe it's okay for you to say that you don't like me for the same reasons that you don't like other cisgender women. But the problem is the same reasons why you won't say that you won't like me for that reason is the same reason that you won't tell Jessica, who's supposed to be your best friend, that you don't really like her. And it's because Jessica is that bitch. And you don't like the idea of her being that bitch, but you can't not be her friend because her proximity to her gives you some sense of fulfillment. It makes you feel good about yourself. It brings a certain level of je ne sais quoi to your life, so to speak. And I think that the reason why a lot of y'all don't like trans people but will still engage and indulge in the LGBT community is because of the benefits that you get from being able to talk shit about trans women in a way that you can't talk shit about other cis women that you are also jealous of, right? Because people are going to support your jealousy of trans women because they're going to say, oh, well, you are the blueprint and you're this and you're that and you're all of these things. And so there's an affirmation that comes with saying fuck a trans girl that you're really just jealous of, that you can't get when you're just jealous of another cisgender woman. And that's the thing that makes it different. Y'all love to sit around and say things like, oh, how am I jealous of a man when you want to be me? No, I don't want to be you. I'm being this version of me. And this version of me sits you down and eats you up. And that's why you're upset. And it's okay to say that. But the problem is y'all can't even say it to each other. And that's what I'm realizing. Y'all can't even admit when another cis woman gathers you up, chews you up, and spits you out. So I should have known years ago. Of course, some of you all are not going to be able to be in space where you can acknowledge that a trans woman is sitting you down. That's it. Like, she just sitting you down. Surgery, no surgery, bought, paid for, sex work, no sex work. That girl sits you down. And the fact that she is transgender eats you up even more because you feel like beauty is a birthright, and it's not. It's not. You're either born with it or you have the means to pay for it. And I think some of you all who aren't born with it don't have the means to pay for it. And so you end up being upset. Because the one thing that I will say, and the one little quote that I will stand by, is that I've never seen an ugly girl, right? I mean, I've never seen a pretty girl or a bad bitch be a hater of a trans woman. No tea, no shade. At least so far in my life, I've never seen a bad bitch be a hater of trans women. No tea, no shade. Which lets me know, or which helps me to help, I guess with my hypothesis, which is that a lot of this shit is about beauty and desire. A lot of this shit is about beauty and desire and what some cisgender women think they lay claim to. And when they don't lay claim to those things, they get upset with the people who they feel like do. And it's just that simple. So this entire thing with Boosie and the pool party, I think stems from a couple of different things. Boosie doesn't like the idea of being in proximity to trans women because he knows that he has an affection or affinity for trans women, because the same way that they sit around and talk about those features that they're going to use to clock you, those are probably some of Boosie's favorite features. Boosie probably loves a girl with a thick Adam's apple. Boosie probably loves a girl with big old hands because he's such a small man. Boosie probably love a tall bitch because he's such a small man. Boosie probably loves an exotic looking bitch because he's a weird looking ass nigga from fucking Alabama, right? Like, these things and these people and all of these parameters that he's trying to set out are probably some of the very thing that attracts him to trans women. And so therefore he doesn't want it in his space because he doesn't want y'all to see him looking at the things that he's excited about. I really wonder, right? I really wonder what it gives, right? I really wonder what it gives on Boosie's like internet history. I would really love to scrub his internet history for the last 10 years, specifically his corn accounts, and see what exactly Boosie has been looking at. I would love for a hacker to just get in there and like let us all know. I need for somebody who ain't got nothing else better to do with their skills at this particular moment to just hack one of Boosie's computers or his phone or something and just let us know what the tea is. Because I'm sure none of us will be surprised, but we all want to know, right? There's just a lot that's going on with this entire party that I just don't think is important enough to really discuss. And I hate that I feel like I'm having to come off of this very, I don't know, like I'm having a beautiful high of being able to talk politics and be able to talk world issues and be able to talk about what's going on and how people can survive the next couple of months, let alone, the next 3 years. I'm trying to help people navigate the midterms. And it just sucks because I feel like people would rather hear my opinion about Boosie and they would rather hear me rip Boosie to shreds than to hear what I have to say with, a representative, or to hear what I have to say with anybody. Like, I just don't understand that. I don't understand why, or how people can turn around and say trans women are so messy and they only talk about being trans, or they only talk about this, or they only talk about that. But when we're talking about other things, y'all don't pay attention. And that, I think that is the thing that makes me sad. That is the thing that brings me pause. And that's the thing that brings tears to my eyes. But I digress. Don't nobody really care about what the trans girl has to say about Boosie's party anyway. They just like clipping these things so that they can catch me saying something negative about cisgender women and make 50,000 YouTube videos about it. But that's just my 2 cents. I know that a lot of you all are also waiting to hear my thoughts about these Dominique Morgan videos. And y'all, there were like 3 of them. Y'all, there were like 3 of those videos. And to be quite honest, I don't care enough anymore. But I am going to go live for y'all on my actual show later this evening, and give y'all my thoughts and opinions. But y'all, I did this whole after I make this video about Dominique Morgan, after all of the things and the woo wops and the boo bop bams, Leave me alone. Leave me alone. After I make this video about the things and the woo-ops and the do-bop, boo-bop, bams, I need y'all to leave me alone about, the Dominique Morgan situation. A lot of y'all are dragging it. I'm seeing, I think honestly at this point, everybody involved, has drug it a little bit. And I think everybody should have gotten what they needed from it at this point. And so little old Hope saying what her little old self thinks in her little old room should not make too many waves, but I am going to give y'all my thought process about all of it now that I've kind of sort of seen everybody's thought process and point of view and all of the things, right? Because there's just so much to be said, and I'm not going to say any of it until later. But yeah, I don't know if y'all gonna like what I have to say. I'm not sure if some of y'all are going to agree with what I have to say, but I do know that I'm going to say it nonetheless. So y'all stay tuned. I'm on the West Coast, so I'm trying to figure out a time that works for everybody to be able to watch it so that I don't have to be up, so that I don't have y'all up super late, but also I don't want to be on, live super early for the people in LA or the people in California. So yeah, I'm going to give y'all tell me what would be a good time that y'all think I should do it. Because, like, what time is it now? It's 3 o'clock now on the East Coast. So, I don't know. I'm thinking I might do it like at like 7 or 6 on the East Coast. Does that feel good for y'all? Does a 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock, showtime work for y'all? Because I think that this particular show, I'm gonna focus it on Dominique and how about 7 Pacific time? So 7 PST. So 7 PST is 8, 9. That's 10 o'clock. I think 7 EST is good because 10 o'clock EST is crazy. Like I think people want to hear what I got to say, but they're not going to stay up until 11 o'clock to listen. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think 7 should be good. I do not like my makeup today already. And the only reason that I don't like it already is because this lighting is horrible. Um, it looks great on camera. Like it's great lighting for camera, but it's not great lighting for me to do my makeup. And I didn't think that through before I got on here with y'all. And so I'm definitely going to be adjusting this routine back to what I was doing before. At least for my get ready with me videos, the lighting is going to be a little different because I need to be able to see, and it's a little bit too moody in here. Like this mood is great for my I'm gonna just move the chair because I'm sorry y'all, I'm looking at my view on Instagram and what the Instagram people are seeing, and I'm like, I've been out of frame the entire time, so I need to scoot. But yeah, I'm thinking 7 p.m. EST is when I'm gonna come on and do the show about my thoughts and my feelings and all of the things as it pertains to Dominique. And everything that we've heard from Gabby and everything that we've seen on, the lives and the X, Y's, and the Z's, I think that the girls are going to be a little upset with me, but I don't really care. Bitches is always mad with me, so I don't really care. But I got thoughts, child. I have thoughts. I definitely have thoughts about it because yeah. So if you want to hear what I have to say about Dominique, as promised, it is Wednesday. I'm giving y'all my thoughts now that it is Wednesday because I feel like the people are done. They're done with their interviews. The people are done with their 45-minute interviews and their 2-hour interviews and all the things. I am just excited that the people are done with the interview process. And now we can just have an overall discussion to talk through it. So, and who knows? I'll send Dominique the stream key. I will send Dominique the stream key thingy majigger. And if she pops in, she pops in. If she doesn't, she doesn't. But that is what I will be doing today at 7 p.m. EST. Oh God. But yeah, I'm not really feeling this makeup today, no. I appreciate that y'all are getting ready with me today still, but I don't know. I ain't feeling it. 7 p.m. EST on IG, 7 p.m. EST on IG, YouTube, and TikTok. So whichever one of those you follow me on, or whichever one of those you just so happen to be on at the time, I will be on there at 7 p.m. And I will also be live on my Substack at 7 p.m. as well. So whichever one of those that you follow me on, or whichever one of those you're going to be on at that time, you have options. You have Substack, you have Instagram, and you have YouTube. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time tonight. I hate doing get ready with me's and then I finish my topic because then I still want to finish the makeup, but I don't be doing if y'all actually want to see the makeup. And then I be done. I think it's really because I don't really have a super desire, or I didn't really have a super desire to talk about Boosie. I have more of a desire to talk about people not giving a shit about trans people unless we were talking about debauchery. And so I think that for me, that's another reason why. And I think it's just because, like, y'all, as I get older, I don't have a desire to, like, as I get older, I don't have a desire to, like, talk about bullshit that don't matter. You know what I'm saying? Like, as I get older, I just don't have the wherewithal to be up here talking about, like, bullshit that doesn't matter. Like, I don't always want to talk about politics or things that are serious, but I just feel like spending my time on bigotry and people who have told us that they don't like us, that just doesn't feel fulfilling. You know what I'm saying? Like, now if I were having a discourse with Boosie, I think that that would be different. Um, and mostly just because I don't believe that anybody has been able to have like a discourse with Boosie. I feel like when everything first happened, Boosie and Dwayne Wade were supposed to have a discussion, and maybe I'm wrong, but that never happened. Um, and so that was like another thing that like I was thinking about is that I feel like a large part of the reasoning why this continues to feel like it's still happening is because I feel like people are trying to appeal to Boosie through the comments and nobody's trying to appeal to Boosie through a real life interaction. Because I don't know that Boosie has really like met a lot of trans people in real life and been able to have full and open dialogue with actual trans people. I feel like a large part of what Boosie is saying and how he feels is coming from a space of not knowing actual trans people. And so he's just out here, you know, like really just spewing off bullshit that he's either been taught his entire life or things that he's, you know, adopted over the course of his life. But I don't know, like the entire thing just feels performative to me. The entire thing just feels performative. And sometimes I wonder if it would be more helpful for people to actually sit down with Boosie and have a real conversation versus, you know, trying to appeal with him through the masses of people in his comments. The thing is, he is saying no trans allowed, ain't no one checking for him. And if transgender people are attracted to him, then she's crazy. The girl is out of her mind. And he's a Trump supporter. You know what? I didn't even hear about that. I didn't hear about Boosie being a Trump supporter. Now that I didn't hear about. And I don't like spreading misinformation. You know, I don't like spreading misinformation. Hello, husband. Everybody say, hey, pumpkin man, because he wants to be seen so bad. Hello, husband. How are you? How are you doing, love of my life? For all the people on YouTube, my husband is on Instagram in the comments dropping pumpkins, y'all. um, And so, hello, husband. How are you doing? Everybody say, hey, pumpkin man. Everybody say, hey, pumpkin man. My baby is overseas protecting us from the big bad militia of people. There's only certain things that I can say, so I am trying to do my due diligence to not get my husband targeted while also saying what I want to say. But hello to my husband. How are you, love? He tried to text me and then realized that I was on live, so he got in here to bother us. My husband said, I'm good, just in the middle of the water of nowhere. But anyway, and that's the thing that's so funny. Someone on YouTube just said what they should get mad at, since they want to have all these children, is that they need to bring the prices down when you're buying baby bottles or car seats or booster seats and all of that. And that's the thing that is so funny to me, is that in the video that I'm making that's more public facing, I'm talking about that. And there are so many other spaces where Boosie's voice could have been used and utilized. And rather than him using his voice to talk about black issues and the killing of black children and X, Y, and Z, and all of the black women that have been, unalived, Boosie is out here doing what he's doing with his platform. And though that I will never understand how y'all will be out here upset with activists for not doing this or not doing that or not raising their voice, but then y'all give all of these rappers who have just as much, if not more, pull and wherewithal and all of the things. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all don't be upset that Boosie is out here talking about, the protection of children, but not actually doing anything to help protect children. Like, and those are the things that, like, I really wish that I wish that that made more sense to me, and it doesn't. Y'all will allow, Boosie to be out here saying all of these egregious things and telling all of these lies, but y'all will never actually ask him like what he's doing and how he plans on truly affecting, black children in a positive way. Y'all don't. Y'all really don't. And those things are just so interesting to me, how, y'all will champion people as folks who care about children. And meanwhile, they're doing nothing to actually show that they care about children, except bashing other children who are not like their children, and, talking shit about a community who has done nothing personally to them. And that's the thing that I don't understand. I really don't understand how some of y'all are just so mad at trans people when you've never even met a trans person, or so you say. I don't understand how some of y'all can be so pissed off about the existence of trans people when you don't even know a trans person, or so you say. Like, some of y'all are so pressed at the existence of trans people for absolutely no reason, right? Y'all be out here just pressed, stressed, tired, overworked, and underwhelmed, right? Um, okay, baby, I love you. Everybody say bye to the pumpkin man. Um, but yes, there's just so much that I don't know. Like, I just feel like there's so much like oxymoronic, hypocritical BS that goes on in the activism space, specifically as it pertains to, like, some of these black male messiah types that people like to dote on. And it's just like, y'all don't actually hold them accountable for doing anything to actually protect the kids the way that they claim that they're trying to do. But y'all love to support and say that they're all of these things when there are actual people who are doing things for the kids and who are making sure that school lunches are still being provided. There are black women who are out here using their personal kitchens every day to make school lunches for kids, but y'all out here giving Boosie credit. Y'all are out here giving Boosie credit. Like, that's the craziest part. Bam. Okay. So we're gonna do a little bit of highlighter, darling. And then I'm gonna put on this lip. Now, this lip is a different type of lip. I don't typically do these, but I did this yesterday as a test. And y'all, the amount of compliments that I got yesterday about this little lip that I'm gonna show y'all real quick. My God, I loved it. And then I also need to show y'all this little one size. This right here, my new favorite product from One Size. Okay. So this sucks up all the oil. So if you see my nose gets really shiny, I don't really care for it. And so what I love about this is that I can just, and so I just take a little bit of that. I spray it on, it dries down, and it keeps my nose from getting extra oily. And we love that. And it's my new favorite thing. What mascara do you use? Right now, currently, I am using the Sephora brand. This isn't even like one of my good ones. This is like a Sephora brand little mascara that I use. Not even one of my good ones, just like random little Sephora mascara that I found in my kit. um, I didn't even go and purchase that. Like I just found that in my kit randomly. Um, and it's been my fave. I'm not gonna hold you. And I never thought that like a Sephora brand, mascara would really be my jam like that. But it is my jam. It is it's my jam, just like that. Um, love it. Okay. And now for like my favorite part, but I'm a little scared, y'all. I'm scared because I don't know if y'all gonna like it the way I liked it yesterday, but it was so good. So I always kiss off whatever I'm using to keep my lips moisturized while I do my makeup, just because pro tip, your lips will be dry. Okay. Yeah, the art in the background has come from all over the world. This piece that y'all see like directly over my shoulder is a piece by Dontrell Boone out of Houston, Texas, and he is an amazing artist. Black guy, super dope. Got an opportunity to hang out with him when I was in Houston, like maybe a year and a half ago at this point, and he was super amazing. And his art is, I mean, just beautiful. Okay, so this is like an orangey red that I really like have fallen in love with, y'all. Y'all have no idea. It is just the cutest. And I put it on with like this reddish brown lip liner that I got from the MAC. Um, and then I go over it with like, and then I go over it with a little brown. But I think that this red is just like so cute. And then I kind of go in with like a neutral gloss moment. And this is just like a NYX butter gloss. And then I finish everything off. I actually got this particular lip balm from Japan and I love it, but it was a random thing that I picked up. So sorry. It just says lip balm on it. But it is most definitely a plumper. And I like it because it just gives me what I feel like is like a natural, glowy, cherry ish looking lip without, too much. So now I'm gonna go back in with my little setting spray. I'm gonna go back in with my waterproof setting spray from Tier Tier. And we are almost finished. I also recommend that, like, when you are done with your setting sprays, don't just walk around and let them air dry. I like to like manually make sure that they're dry. I find that like making sure that they're drying in place. Like if I were in, why do people use two setting sprays? Because one of them is different. So this setting spray has a different purpose. This setting spray makes sure that my powder is like sort of depowdered. So essentially it keeps me from looking super cakey. This setting spray is a waterproof sweat-proof setting spray because I sweat really, really bad. And on top of that, waterproof setting spray just tends to be a little bit stronger because of the ingredients that they have to use to make it somewhat waterproof. And so I use this underneath to make sure that my powder is nice and set before I set everything in and lock it all in with this one. Different products have different uses. And so you can't just use one and think that things are going to be done. And to be perfectly honest, I'm still not going to be finished with my setting spray routine because if you are like me and you're a person who needs this makeup to last for hours, like I'm going to have this makeup on when I come back and talk to y'all at 7 o'clock. And y'all are going to see that my makeup and my face is probably going to look even better because my natural oils are going to have set into the face and they're going to be really great. And it also keeps me from having to blot my face all day, right? So different products just require different levels of understanding. There are going to be some products that have humectants. Humectants bring in moisture to the face. And that's what this one does, right? So this little baby here is a humectant. It's going to bring in whatever moisture is in the air. It's going to make sure that my makeup does not look cakey. And that is great. That's awesome. That's cool. But I don't like to look super wet all day. And so I'm going to use this one because it's a semi-matte dry down. And again, it's waterproof. So it's going to be a little bit more bulletproof than that setting spray. And also there is a difference between a like a setting spray and like a fixing spray, right? So when you have a setting spray, this is something that's just going to set the makeup. It's going to like make sure that it's like nice and dewy. It gives you the finish that you want, whether that be like matte, soft matte, dewy. A fixing spray is going to be the thing that holds the makeup in place. So there are two different things that these things do, which is why you'll see that some people use 2 or 4, right? It just depends on a person's skin and what they know that they're going to be getting into that day. And then also just like a person's preference. Like if a person want to spend $150 on their setting sprays, and so they want to get their money's worth out of all of those setting sprays, that's their prerogative. But typically I only need 3, and one of them isn't even a setting spray for real. One of them I use it as a setting spray, but it's not really a setting spray. So yeah, this has been my little TED talk on Boosie and them. My forehead is a little but yeah, this has been my little TED talk on Boosie and them, and a little bit about everything else that I have going on. Just as a reminder, y'all, my Get Ready With Me's are not my political content. They are not my advocacy content. This is just a space where I get ready and I talk through things. I talk about things. If you want more of my political commentary, or if you want more of my advocacy-based commentary, those things are going to live in real videos on my page most of the time, or they're going to live in separate spaces, usually my Substack, which is why I have the QR code there linked. If you want to hear more about my advocacy or anything about like my political views or things like that, you're going to make sure that you follow my Substack, which is going to be linked in the QR code that you can see if you're on Instagram. And if you're on Instagram and YouTube right now, you can see the Substack little QR code. If you are on TikTok right now and you cannot see it, just go over to Substack, type in Hope Giselle. I'm the only one that's using that name, and you'll be able to find me. And so, yeah. But Get Ready With Me's are just that. They are Get Ready With Me. I am getting ready for my day, and we are having conversations, shooting the bobo. It could be a lot of different, there could be a lot of different things. And I don't know, let me see. I'll see y'all at 7 o'clock. I will see y'all at 7 o'clock, where we are going to talk through all of the things about the Dominique Morgan child. And until then, I holler at y'all, because this one is gonna be interesting and I can't wait.